Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. And off the back of me releasing a fight news video, the UFC decided to announce a whole other slew of fights. So I'm here to give you guys my thoughts on them. And when I say a bunch of fights were announced, I'm not lying. The rest of the year is pretty much slated. The only pay-per-view that doesn't have a main event right now is December. And I'm honestly excited because a lot of amazing fights have been announced. So for starters, Islam Makachev and Charles Oliveira had their rematch booked, and it's in Abu Dhabi once again. Oliveira came out during fight week saying that he wasn't necessarily going to be ready to fight Islam in October and would prefer to fight him in November or December. But looks like that's not true, and he will be fighting Islam for the lightweight title in Abu Dhabi once again. And this fight last time around wasn't as competitive, but I also think Oliveira was a bit off that night. Maybe Islam is the better fighter, but I think Oliveira definitely earned this title shot once again, especially off the back of that performance against Beneil Dariush. And I honestly don't know who else you would give Islam Makachev right now. The only other suitor was Volkanovski, but he was injured and he will not be ready for October. So Charles Oliveira is the one that steps in. And I'm just as excited for this fight as I was the first time around. Charles Oliveira is one of my favorite fighters, and I would be so happy to see him get it done. In the co-main spot on that Abu Dhabi card, we finally get to see the return of Khamzat Chimaev after a year off, and he's taken on Paulo Costa. This fight has been rumored to happen for months now, and it's finally been announced. Costa versus Ikram Aliskerov was taken off of the upcoming UFC 291 card, and they're both getting different opponents at Abu Dhabi. Aliskerov is taking on Imavov, by the way. But focusing on Costa and Chimaev, I think this is going to be a fun fight. I don't know how well Costa will do against Chimaev. I honestly do think Khamzat runs through him pretty easily. I think his wrestling will just be too much. But the build-up for that fight will be really fun, and the fight itself will still be awesome. So another great fight announced, and definitely one to get excited for. So as I briefly mentioned there, Ikram Aliskerov is also on this card, and he's found himself a new opponent in Nasruddin Imavov. I'm kind of happy this happened as well because I didn't really have too much interest in the Ikram versus Paulo Costa fight. I think Costa and Chimaev is a much better fight. And I'm happy to see Aliskerov got himself an opponent as well on this card in Imavov. And this should be a pretty interesting fight. This might be a sleeper fight on this card because people are going to be focused on the two big ones and they won't really think about this one too much. But I think this one will definitely be another great fight on this card. And overall, this Abu Dhabi card is shaping up pretty nicely here. I think this has the potential to be one of the best pay-per-views of the year. You have some of the biggest stars in the UFC right now in Makachev, Oliveira, and Chimaev, all on the same card. This card will do numbers for sure. Next up is another interesting matchup that is in the works. This one isn't 100% confirmed, I don't think, but it is Colby Covington versus Leon Edwards, and it is rumored to be the co-main to John Jones versus Stipe Miocic going down at UFC 295 in Madison Square Garden. And this is a fight that's been talked about ever since Leon defeated Kamaru Usman last March. So I'm finally happy that something looks like it's going to happen here. This fight should have happened a while ago, and I'm not sure what the weight's been, to be honest, but as long as we get it, I'm going to be okay with it. And I don't know how this fight goes, to be honest. I think both guys have skills that can trouble the other guy. It's tough to gauge how this fight would go because Leon seemed to have neutralized Kamaru Usman's wrestling in their fight, and Usman's always seemed to be the better wrestler than Colby, even though Colby's a great wrestler himself. So if Colby can get Leon down, I'm sure he could bring him hell, but will he get him down is the question. And we all know Edwards obviously has the advantage on the feet. So this fight's going to be awesome. Also, the build-up to this fight is going to be amazing, especially having Colby and John in the same press conference. I think Colby's going to pick on John a lot, and it's going to be great to watch. So I really hope this one does get announced soon. I think it will, to be honest. So another great fight to get excited about, and we'll see what happens in this one. Moving on to a confirmed fight that got canceled, which was Corey Sandhagen versus Umar Nurmagomedov. Umar Nurmagomedov pulled out due to injury, but the UFC found a replacement, and the replacement is Rob Fawn. So we will be getting Corey Sandhagen taking on Rob Fawn at a catch weight of 140 pounds. in Nashville. And this is another great matchup. This is going to be a real fun fight. I'm excited for it. I guess that means that Fawn and Song isn't going to be happening in Boston, which kind of sucks because I'm sure Fawn would love to have fought in his hometown. But he gets a higher-ranked fighter here in Corey Sandhagen, and if he gets the job done, could see himself in a title picture pretty soon. So, yeah, this is going to be a fireworks matchup. Both guys are incredible strikers, and I'm excited to see how this one goes. So finally, the last matchup I wanted to talk about that is also not 100% confirmed yet, but it's looking more than likely, is Israel Adesanya versus Sean Strickland. That would be taking place at UFC 293 in Sydney, Australia. And this one's coming up. I mean, this would be September. So if it is happening, we kind of need to know sooner rather than later. This matchup seems to only be happening because Dricus du Plessis has came out and said he's injured and he will not be able to fight Israel on the Sydney card, which is kind of annoying because I think this would definitely be the better matchup between the two. But if we get Strickland versus Adesanya, I can't really complain too much either. I think Strickland will make the press conference hilarious. He's completely unhinged, says whatever the hell he wants, and Adesanya gets offended pretty easily. So it'll make for some good back and forth between the two of them. As for how the fight goes, I don't think it would be much of a competition, to be honest. We saw how Strickland did against Pereira. Not good at all. I think Adesanya would do similar to what Pereira did to Strickland. I could see Adesanya finding a finish against Sean, even though Sean may be able to sort of cause him some issues, maybe with his jab, but honestly, I really don't think so. Adesanya is definitely the better striker, and I would favor him heavily in this matchup. But that doesn't mean I don't want to see it. What this means for du Plessis versus Adesanya, I think that fight still will happen, maybe even in December, because timing would work out for that to happen, or early sometime next year, but we'll see. Either way, Adesanya Strickland, I'm down for it, and there really is no other contenders for Adesanya to fight, so Strickland makes the most sense here. But yeah, that's really all I wanted to talk about for this video. A lot of great matchups announced, a lot of great stuff in the works, and the end of 2023 is shaping up pretty nicely for the UFC. I think the Abu Dhabi card is probably my most anticipated right now, just because the other ones aren't as filled up, but either way, Madison Square Garden will be an awesome card, and so will the card in December as well. But I want to thank you guys for watching another one of my videos. If you enjoyed, please consider subscribing and liking, as that helps me out a ton. And also let me know in the comments section which one of these matchups is your favorite. Which one are you the most excited for? I'd like to hear your thoughts. But until then, take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.